Good morning. Welcome into the Out of Bounds Show, brought to you by Farm Bureau Insurance. Bundle your auto and home and save with your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent in any of the 82 counties in the state of Mississippi. Go with the home team, Farm Bureau Insurance. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. This is 105.9 The Zone ESPN, genespage.com, 247 Sports, the Boneyard Podcast. Steve Robertson joins us on the show. And, Steve, let's start with what have you heard on Blake Shapen and as far as his availability Saturday in Columbia, Missouri?
Well, yesterday I was told he's a little bit banged up, but should be good to go this weekend. Depend on how he responds to treatment to see how effective he could be. But it's something we'll ask Lebby today. But I suspect that he will offer his usual Monday comment about situations such as these. They'll let the availability report speak for them on Wednesday. But part of me thinks too, even if you're going to use Camario a lot more this weekend, it's probably better not to put that out there publicly until game time. I think you've got to use the element of surprise and not give your opponent any potential heads up on situations such as that.
Okay. I can't believe I'm saying this before the season. Didn't think this could be the case, but this is a very winnable game for Mississippi State. I mean, they've got a true freshman quarterback who's really limited. And, you could actually go up there and find yourself in this game late in the game. But we'll get into that in just a minute. Let's go to all right, so let's walk through Saturday. Let's unpack this. You may have some things that you really want to highlight. But the first drive was unbelievable. You go down and you slice and dice them and roll up 40-something yards on the ground and score. And then you get a stop. And so things were going well, and then Georgia woke up or got their footing and made some adjustments, and things did not go well. What did you see there in the first half, Steve?
Well, I thought State missed an opportunity to get separation in the game. I mean, you're up 7-3, and you've got an opportunity to make it a 14-3 game. And I really think that's one of the biggest maybe surprises and complaints this year about this team is against good teams when they've had opportunity to get separation, they haven't been able to cash in. And, I don't know what happens, after those adjustments are made, but, it's just one of those scenarios where it plays out, it's kind of consistent. They give Georgia a lot of credit for number 5 in the country for a reason. Probably in a great position to get back to the FBS playoff as everybody forecast at the beginning of the year. But it just felt like to me that this game really got away from State when you didn't at least attempt the field goal, because then you could make it a one-score game again. And we talk about this on your show from time to time. Coaching's about applying pressure. You have to keep the pressure on the opponent. And then that last segment, right before the half, knowing they had the ball coming out of the half, that's when the game really got extended for Georgia, as they were able to put the touchdown on the board on their last drive of the half, and then, of course, they come right back in. The game's over at that point. You're just – when that offensive score happened to close the half, basically, and then you had to give it right back to a very talented running attack they have, there wasn't much chance of Mississippi State coming back and making a game of that. So you've got to do a good job managing the end of halves. And for the most part, in the first half, State's been able to do that this year, but that wasn't the case on Saturday. And I thought the little, run the punt team on and all that kind of stuff. I mean, all that, it appeared to kind of shake us up a little bit. And then the next thing you know, the game's over and you're already thinking about Missouri.
Yeah, which we'll get to probably pretty quick here because, like you said, they controlled the game from midway through the second or late into the second on. What's the latest on Isaac Smith and Manning?
Yeah, Manning's fine. I mean, I've seen people ask me about that. Manning was ejected for targeting in the first half of that ball game, so he sat out his suspension. He's not hurt. He was a little bit banged up early in the week last week, but of course didn't even make the availability report. But I'm not concerned about him at all. I am concerned about Isaac Smith, and that's the thing is he missed the A&M game. It was in a boot. It appears to be kind of a recurrence of the same injury, and so think there's a good chance Tony Mitchell gets a start this week, and we'll just see how Isaac responds to treatment throughout the week. But as of Monday morning, I would be surprised if he plays this Saturday.
Okay. All right. Tony Mitchell, I remember that recruitment. He was highly sought after. Steve Robertson on the Farm Bureau Insurance Guest Line. You're listening to 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. Okay, so you're leaning towards Shapen will be available.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards that, but I think there's still a lot to gather between now and then, and of course, there's always a lot of rumors and things of that nature, and I think one of the things that's important to understand too, and this is one of the things that we talk about religiously. Blake Shapen and Kamario Taylor play for the same team, and so if you're a fan of that team, you can support both guys.
Absolutely,
you're going to need both guys,
right?
But all of a sudden, there becomes all this commentary. If Jeff Lebby felt that Kamario Taylor gave Mississippi State the best chance to win this weekend against Missouri, then that's who he's going to start. That's absolutely who he's going to start. He's not doing anything just to irritate the fans. There's a level of narcissism that goes along with that kind of stuff. It's just like we're wearing certain logos just because, to spite the fans. Those things just don't exist. Only in the minds of some people on message boards. But Jeff Lebby sees Kamario Taylor in practice every single day. And so I think there's also that element against Arkansas where they weren't prepared for Kamario, right? They didn't spend all week getting ready to deal with Kamario, and it's a different skill set, right? But State's going to need both of these guys to get to a bowl game. And I think it's perfectly okay to support them both. Now, the flip side of that is, what you've seen Kamario Taylor in the last 2 weeks should absolutely excite you about the future of Mississippi State football. And some people are like, well, hey, why don't we just have the future now? And I think at some point you have to trust your coaches and say, you know what? They see these guys every day in practice. And, what Kamario's done the last couple of weeks should probably sell you a bunch of season tickets for next year, because I do think he's extremely special. But I'm not in practice every day. I don't know how he's handling game planning. I don't know how he's handling meetings and things of that nature.
Sure.
And Kamario is going to come. There's no question about it. But I think, as you and I talked about after the A&M game, it was kind of disappointing he didn't at least get a series in that game when things were already extended and the game was over. And so I think you've seen enough now to know what he should be able to do, whether it be this year or next year, to know that Kamario Taylor is a very special football player.
Fluff's not healthy. You can just tell there he's doing everything he can. What do you think? Do you think he can get healthy in the next week or so?
Well, that's the thing about those, lower extremity type issues, right? I mean, it just takes some time, and a lot of times what rest is what is the best thing for them. And I think, you continue to use him like you've used him, and then maybe perhaps after the open day next week, maybe you're a lot closer to 100%. I don't think he's going to be 100% until probably, a bowl game, maybe, if you're able to get one of these last two, and I still believe State will. But yeah, I mean, he's not where he wants to be, but he's still really good, even at 80%.
Okay. Steve Robertson, genespage.com, 247 Sports. His board was lively and active over the weekend with the debates and the discussions, which is always good when you have a message board. Jump on, join, and get into all the fun. genespage.com, 247 Sports. Okay, let's go to Missouri. We mentioned it's a winnable game. They have a true freshman quarterback who doesn't run the football. And he was like 7 of 22 for 70 yards or something. This is a winnable game if they can put together the right game plan and play well, especially if you can have Shapen and Kamario for the game. Do you see it that way?
I absolutely do. And I think one of the things as you look at, the last 2 weeks is you've had to kind of account for Taylor Green and Gunnar Stockton's ability to run the football. That they're part of the game plan. That's not the case with Zollers. And as you mentioned, he was 7 of 22 for 77 yards, and 34 yards came on one play. I believe he's ran the football 9 times for a net -10 this year. So he's not going to run the football. And when you think about the scenario that they're in, where they've already lost two quarterbacks for the year, Sam Horn and Bo Pribula, you're not going to run that guy, right? I mean, what are you going to do? Play a walk-on the rest of the way? I mean, it's just not going to happen. And so it's not in his skill set, but also, too, I think you've got to be somewhat conservative in your play calling with a quarterback run if you're Eli Drinkwitz. And so if you're Coleman Hutzler and Mag McIntyre and Paul Rhodes, you got to put a game plan together that, hey, you know what, maybe we show a different look. We've got to stop the run because that's basically all they have. And they got two great backs. I mean, everybody knows Ahmad Hardy, but it's not a scenario where it's a one-man show. And I think if you're State, you just got to stack the box and then make the quarterback make plays. And Kevin Coleman leads them in receptions this year. But do you know how many touchdown catches Kevin Coleman has this year?
One?
One is correct.
Yeah.
One. Yeah. And so it hasn't maybe been the year, but I don't think that's a byproduct of Kevin. I think it's the game of musical chairs that they've played at quarterback due to injuries. But, it's a very winnable game. They've sold out the game. We expect a very festive environment up there. But if you're Mississippi State, you got to go up there and just say, you know what, we're going to make this young quarterback, Zollers, beat us. And if he beats you, he beats you. But you're not going to sit back and just play a very balanced defense. You've got to go get after and attack the run.
And by the way, even though it's cold here and cold up there, by Saturday, it's supposed to be 75 degrees and sunny, which is not always the case up there this time of year. So it's not going to be a weather game. If y'all remember, I know Steve does, Dak went up there in like 2015 on a Thursday night, and it rained sideways. And they got out of there with a win. But you don't ever know what you're going to get in the Midwest this time of year. And right now it looks good. All right. What about getting to the, speaking of, Whitson is still one of the leaders on the team with sacks, and he's been out. He played a game and a half this year. So they haven't been able to do what they wanted to do off the edge or up the middle or wherever, coming from the sky. And so, what do you think? They are who they are. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to get to the quarterback this year. Is that how you see it, Steve?
It's a quarterback a little bit, but they've not been able to get him on the ground. Now, some of that, of course, is the athleticism within this league. But the reality of it is that other teams are able to do it. Now, are they better than last year? Yeah, that doesn't mean they're good, right? When it comes to rushing the passer, but they've had some moments at times, obviously. But I think this week is one of those weeks where you need to get the guy on the ground. You got to get some negative plays. And I think that's a huge aspect of this Bulldog defense at times where they've kind of been the bend but don't break variety. But you can't just depend on somebody else to get themselves behind the sticks. You've got to go out there and dictate terms to them. And State's just not there at this point defensively. But I agree with you. I think considering the money you spent, on the defensive line, you could argue that they're better, and they are better, but they're probably still not where they need to be.
All right, so it's early. They could still win a game or two. Obviously, this is the more winnable game. I think we all know that it's a rivalry game in a few weeks. Ole Miss has more talent and a much better coaching staff, but who knows? But this week is very winnable. What do you think? Are you ready to talk staff changes, or are you just focused on Missouri?
Yeah, I don't know at this point it's appropriate. I think you've got to consider Jeff Lebby's got to make decisions in this offseason, personnel-wise and staffing-wise, that advance his vision. And I don't know kind of what his thoughts are on that. I watch the games just like everybody else does. So you see some areas, and this time last year, everybody was, convinced Coleman Hutzler was going to be fired. They did make some improvement, but you're not here just to fight for the Liberty Bowl. All due respect to the folks at the Liberty Bowl. We got some great Bulldogs that work up there. They're part of that organization, but Mississippi State fans have higher aspirations just to simply make a bowl game. I think this year you look at it and say, okay, if you did that, it's been a step in the right direction. But I don't think anybody that truly supports Mississippi State is going to be happy with a Tennessee bowl game on an annual basis. So Levy's got to figure out what gives him the best chance to get to the playoff, what staff moves, what personnel moves. So we're going to leave all that up to him. But I don't.
Do you want my list? Do you want? Okay, I'm going to give you my list. So my list is again. I'm going to piggyback off of what you just said. Are you serious about winning big? Because now everybody can win big if you got the right people and so on. Got to replace your defensive coordinator. Got to replace your special teams coach. Got to replace your defensive line coach, and got to replace your secondary coach minimum. Your thoughts?
I wouldn't be surprised if Paul Rhodes is on the field next year.
That would be a major upgrade.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Now, I don't know which direction that takes and what that looks like, but I've had some people, within the building tell me that a lot of the improvement that we've seen in the state secondary can be directly attributed to him.
No doubt.
And so, I think that's a possibility as well. And again, I don't know what that looks like, but I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen.
Okay. All right. Anything health-wise? Did I miss? I said the wrong player earlier. There was another player that I was trying to think of. It wasn't Manning. You mentioned he got thrown out for targeting. How was that not targeting on Shea? What did you see? You're on the other side of the field. I was on the other side of the field from you, but on the north end. Okay, so when Chapin ran inside the 3, got his leg underneath him, and it was the perfect hit for those two dudes. Was that targeting or no?
Well, we didn't get enough of a replay to see.
Okay.
That's the go back to all that. That may have been the quickest review in the history of the process, and that's the thing that I look at is, hey, if you're going to stop the game, at least do the play justice. But maybe the replay operator, by the time he got the game stopped, had already seen it. But I think sometimes, like I look at this Jerron Manning thing. That was absolutely targeting. It absolutely was, right? And they want to get that out of the game. I thought one of the best things about that, though, after it happened, is Jerron Manning went on the field to check on, Lawson Lucky. And I think that says a lot about him. It was a big hit in the ball game and could have been very scary for him. But I think it says a lot about Jerron Manning that he plays hard, but also, too, is not just some vindictive guy out there that is trying to hurt people.
Yeah. Okay. I guess, the Farm Bureau, I've got a couple of people that have talked about that on the text line. It was a star-studded night on Friday night at Dudy Noble Field. The Farm Bureau Diamond Dog Classic was a tremendous success. 10,200 plus showed up. What was your takeaway, Steve?
That was a very, very special night. I wrote about that yesterday. I was looking forward to it, but I think, seeing Jake Mangum run out to center field and talk with the fans and seeing, Hunter Stovall out there and, seeing Clark and Palmero hug at home plate and seeing Connor Powers hit a jack to left. It's just, there's so many things that happened that kind of remind you of what Mississippi State has been able to accomplish over the years. And you think, did anybody ever expect to see, Tanner Allen and those guys back in uniform? And you could tell TA was jacked too when he laced that ball in the left center. There was no chance of him stopping around second, right, in a game that doesn't matter, right? But it was truly a celebration, of the program. And I think it was a great idea. I don't know who all deserves credit for it, but everybody that made it possible and made it a very special night for Mississippi State fans, I think they are to be commended. And I think it's something you got to do going forward. And I think there'll be a lot of people that'll be like, you know what, hey, let's take a shot at this too. And, I don't look at it as a competition. I think everybody out there is doing the best they can to provide great experiences for their fans and also raise third-party dollars for NIL revenue. And I think it's a good thing. But, talking to Polkey Saturday after the football game, he looked like a proud pop out there. He and I got a chance to speak after the game, and he said, "Oh, we lost the football game. Hey, what'd you think about last night?" I think that was pretty cool too to see Coach go out there and throw the first pitch. And, puffing that stogie the whole time. Right? Nobody's going to tell him not to smoke it. Polk Met Stadium.
That's right.
It was a great night.
All right. Steve Robertson, genespage.com. There's some heated debates on there. Go and jump in them. Colonel Kang likes to stir it up, and there's a couple of others. Maybe I do too. Steve, thank you, man.
See you, bud.
All right. I just got this from Terry. Ask Steve about rumors of any additional head coaching changes in the SEC. Mitch Barnhart may have just been begging Mark Stoops to try to win a couple of games, which he's done. He's not going to get anything done there, but if they keep him one more year, the buyout goes down maybe another $8 or $9 million.
Dang.
And because that's what his salary is, I'm assuming that's how it's the numbers are running, and maybe they can mitigate or talk him into taking a little bit less. But they didn't really write the contract real well. And then I want to say they owe him everything in the first 30 to 90 days. You saw some of the other ways that athletic directors structured payouts. For example, Penn State's just for a long, long time. If you're just determined to blow your boosters' money, which a lot of ADs are, then if you're going to have to fire somebody, put in a 5-year deal where you're paying them out over time and make sure that it's mitigated too if they take another job.
Yep. And
then it offsets.
It seems like very common sense.
Right.
Maybe too common.
And Shane Beamer, they go to A&M this weekend. I mean, I guess they could pull a rabbit out of their hat, but I seriously doubt it.
No.
And so that game is well, I'll tell you. Okay, I'm wrong. That's not this weekend.
Okay.
Yes, it is. Sorry, I didn't see the Tito's Vodka Bloody Mary game. It's A&M minus 18.5.
Golly.
That is a lot of points. I don't care who you are. South Carolina, who's 1-6 and can't get out of their own way. They're awful. Going to A&M minus 18.5. Never mind.
Wow.
I mean, A&M.
Yeah, they're going to win that game by 20. They're rolling.
How about that's?
They're rolling.
What's the next? Well, as far as conference,
man,
Ole Miss is favored by 15.5.
Wow.
Over Florida. So you got A&M laying 18.5 and Ole Miss laying 15.5 against Florida. And Florida lost by 31 to Kentucky.
31.
Kentucky hadn't scored 31 points the last 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And they scored 38 and won by 31.
Incredible.
What you got?
Don't forget, you got Georgia and Texas this weekend.
Yeah,
I saw that, man. That's why you were hoping that Georgia was looking over.
Yeah.
That trap game in between having to play Florida, which is still a rival. And it was a close game, 24-20 the week before. And very physical. And you were hoping that may line up, and it did not. But you're right, man. Georgia's hosting Texas, and that's 6:30 ABC, obviously. Huge.
College football playoff game?
Yeah. Well, and it's an elimination game for Texas, not for Georgia.
Right.
Georgia's got cushion.
That's right.
And Ole Miss and Bama and A&M's got
cushion.
Two mulligans.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out there. Or 3, I guess. Well, 2. Depending on how you want to run the numbers. We are the Out of Bounds Show. We're powered by Rick's Pro Truck. RPT, ricksprotruck.com.